Okay, part 2 of the stalker story. The way that it escalates, the story is kind of like fuzzy to me because it's been going on for like a year. If you haven't watched part 1 yet of this video, you're gonna want to watch that so that you can get all the backstory to this. So I will put that up there. A little thing's gonna pop up. You can click that and watch the part 1. I just had pita chips and hummus and that all came back up. Yummy. The dude just would not give up. He did not stop asking me out. It started to get weird for my coworkers. They started to get creeped out by him. This is where I think everything changes because I don't think he's a bad guy and I don't think he's a creepy guy. I just want to be careful with what I say on the internet. I just think maybe he's a little mentally unstable and there's something else going on, which I think is the case in a lot of these kind of stories, is like the person can't really think for themselves for like what is acceptable socially and what's creepy and what's not okay. And if a girl says no 10 times, she probably means no, you know? She's probably not interested the 11th time. I don't think that he's a bad guy. I just want to put that out there. I just think that something's going on in here that was making him think that his behavior was okay. I started to get a little bit uneasy with his presence and I would get a lot more aware of when he was around. I knew his car that he would drive. He would ask me out all the time and like would get kind of forceful about it, and the things he said just like did not make sense. And that's why I was like, I think he's like not really stable because I don't really understand what's going on. The things he would say, I was like, my brain can't even process that grammar. Like it does not make sense. He would swear a lot. For example, one time like this line, you know, at coffee stands would like form and people would have drive-thrus and stuff. In the middle of the morning rush, like this happened twice, at least 2 times. He would pull in diagonally in front of the other cars. So like the cars are coming this way, he would pull in that way and slam on his brakes, get out of his car. And literally this time I was like, oh my god. I grabbed my pepper spray and put it on the counter and he didn't see that because I just was like, that was a really forceful entrance. And my coworker was like, what is he doing? I was like, I have no idea. Like at least there's a lot of witnesses if something happens, but still like he just pulled up so quickly that I was like, he's about to do something right now. It's like one thing for something to happen to me, like I'll deal with that, but I didn't want my coworkers to have to like get hurt or anything to happen to them because it had nothing to do with him. Like he was only obsessed with me and I didn't want him to do anything to them. So like, I don't know, it just made me nervous because I didn't want my coworkers to get hurt in the process. He pulls up and he just comes out and he was like,
you know, I just want to like thank you for having my back, Taylor. Like, F yeah.
But he didn't say F, obviously. And I was like, what? He's like,
thank you for having my back.
And he gets in his car and drives away and I was like, my coworker was like, why did he say that? And I was like, I wish I could tell you why. I have no idea. Like that's the kind of stuff he would say all the time. He would just randomly pull up to me and be like,
thank you for having my back, Taylor. Like I really appreciate it. And I always have your back and I'm always looking out for you.
And he would say, oh my gosh, this was like the creepiest thing. So the dude is not even dating me, obviously. I was single at the time, but even if I wasn't, like it's not his place to do that. He would behave as if he was in a relationship with me, and that is what made me really uncomfortable. And I started to tell my parents about it and they're like, yeah, that's really strange. He was like protective of me for no reason, and like honestly the only person I was concerned about was him. But he would come up to the stand and stuff and be like,
how are you doing? Are you doing okay?
And I was like, yeah, like I'm just working. I don't understand why you're asking me that. He's like,
I just want to make sure you're doing okay. Like I just want to make sure nothing's gonna happen to you.
And I was like, what the frick? Like it just, nothing ever made sense when he said that kind of stuff. He had it on his mind that he was protecting me from whatever he was protecting me from. I have no idea. It was just strange to me that he put himself in that position to protect me when that's not really his place in my life to do that. So that was kind of concerning. And I also watch a lot of crime shows and like that's the kind of stuff that happens. Like the things he would say was like, he was like so obsessed and would like never quit asking me out, and I kept saying no, and then he would just come and make sure I'm okay, like just protecting me. And he's like, I'm just protecting you, and like would tell me that he sees my car other places, and I was like, I've never seen you anywhere else. So that kind of creeped me out. Like that's the kind of stuff that happens in crime shows. Like I know they're not always super realistic, but like I could totally see a mentally unstable person, if they're like infatuated with the person, they think that they're protecting that person. So like if they were to kidnap them or something, like they think that in their brain, their reality, their truth is that they're protecting you from something. In reality, to other people, they just kidnapped you and they're not protecting you. They like literally are the ones that are putting you in danger. So I hope that makes sense. It started to get really concerning to me. I told my boss and he didn't really do anything about it, which was kind of upsetting. But then I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do something about it. And I literally, oh my gosh, I should show you guys. I have a Snapchat of my reaction after I told him to leave. And oh my gosh, I was so nervous. I was shaking. Okay, I'm gonna show you the video. I'm shaking. Woo! I'm shaking. Woo! So that is the video that I sent to the people that knew it was going on at the time. I sent that to my family. I sent that to Garrett, who's my boyfriend now, but we were just friends at the time, but he knew about it, and I sent that to him. And oh my goodness, my parents wanted me to get the police involved right away, and I felt like, I don't think he's a bad guy, I just think maybe he might not know the boundaries, and I want to give him benefit of the doubt, and I want to approach him first myself, and then if it doesn't change, then I'll involve the police. But like otherwise, I don't really think you need to involve the police before that point, because I mean that means it's pretty serious then. One day he came, and he would always come when it was super busy, and I don't know if this even sounds creepy to you guys, but it's like the way that he like looked at me and the things he said to me. And he came only when I was working, not once but up to 4 times my shift, which was 5 hours long. Now does it sound creepy? So he came one day, and I was just kind of sick of it, because like I would get so uneasy at work. I was like so stressed out, and I hated that feeling. I just wanted to like enjoy my job. We were super busy. I didn't want to do it in front of customers in case, like, I don't know, in case he tried something, which maybe that's not wise. Maybe I should have done it in front of people, but I didn't want anyone else to like potentially get hurt or be involved. So I waited till everyone left. He came when there was a couple customers in line, and I said to him, I said, hey, do you mind waiting? Oh my gosh, my heart was beating so fast during this time, because I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna flip out or what he's gonna do. I had my pepper spray on the counter. I said, hey, do you mind waiting until everyone leaves? I need to talk to you about something. And he was like,
yeah, okay.
It like looked super nervous. I don't know if he thought I was gonna like ask him out, or if he knew it was gonna be a bad thing. He stayed, and I was like, okay, shoot. I'm like, well, now I have to say it because I've asked him to stay. So after all the customers left, and I was very nice, again, I like to be careful with how I word things, and I didn't want anything to set him off. I just said to him, like, you've been a customer for like a year or whatever, and I said, and that's fine. So we don't mind if you come and get coffee and ask us how we're doing. And I said, but you've kind of started crossing the line where you're making girls uncomfortable here. And I said, not only me, but all my other coworkers are uncomfortable with how often you come and the things you say when you come. And I said, it's fine if you're just a customer getting coffee, but I said, as soon as you start to ask us out continuously every day, I said, that's inappropriate, and that's where you've crossed the line. I said, we have the right to refuse service, so you're fine if you're just coming as a customer, but if you're gonna come as a dating service, or I don't remember what I said exactly, but I said, if you're using this as a dating service, then that's inappropriate, and we're not going to continue to serve you. And he was like,
I'm creeping everyone else out, like not just you, I'm creeping other people out.
I was like, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you that, but you're kind of making people uncomfortable. And I was being like so nice about it. The dude just flipped out, and I was like, okay, yeah, he's like not okay. He flipped out and cussed me out, and he was like, I went off, and I was like, don't shoot me or anything, like don't do anything crazy. He flipped out, and he was like,
you think I don't have anything better to do with my time?
And I'm like, well, obviously not, if you're here 4 times before it's even 12:30 to come ask out a girl that's not even interested in you. Like, what are you doing with your life? I don't understand. He storms off, and he's mad, and I'm like, okay, well, I've done my part now. If it continues, then I'll involve the police and see where we can take it from there. And mind you, like, this whole process was like a year. This is a long story, and we were dealing with it for quite a long time. But the thing with the system, like the police system, they can't really do anything unless something has happened, which kind of sucks. I knew I couldn't really report anything because there wasn't really anything to report. He had never harmed any of us, but he was kind of harassing us. It just became like stressful to go to work every day. So at that point, he knew we didn't want him to come to the stand anymore. So this is where it gets weird. He didn't come to the stand anymore, but then he just started coming in his car, sitting in his car across the parking lot and watching us. Like, at first was like, there's no way he's watching us. Like, he's not just sitting there watching us. But customers started noticing it. They're like, there's a guy over there just sitting in his car watching you. We were in like a gas station parking lot, and so he would get gas like every day when I'm working, every day. I'm like, there's no way you need that much gas. And he would drive by and stare in the stand when I was in there. One time he came in the morning when I was the only one there, and I actually told my boss I didn't want to open or close anymore because I didn't want to be by myself there. So that was starting to bother me, that like my work schedule was getting affected by this guy. So I stopped like closing and opening, but there was one day that I opened because my coworker needed to be somewhere. Sorry, the lighting's getting all like weird now. So I told her I would open for her, and so you're basically like the only one there for, I don't know, 20 minutes. There's no one around, which is kind of creepy, and it's still dark outside because it's like 5:30 in the morning, and it's downtown, so there's like a lot of homeless people and people on drugs. And I've been approached many a times when I like got out of my car, someone would come up to me and they like wanted a lighter or whatever, and they're just like cracked out on something. So it was like sketchy a lot of times. One time I was in there, and the dude pulls up in his car and honks, and I was like just on my phone because it's really slow in the morning, there's like no one over there, and I look over and I see his car, and I was like, oh boy. So I just looked away, and I'm like, don't do anything. So I like grab for my pepper spray because I was like, I don't know if he's getting out of his car, I don't know what he's doing, but I just don't want to give it the attention. I didn't look over, I don't know what he did. He just honked, but his windows are tinted so I couldn't even see in there, but I know his car and I know his license plate. We had all that information in case we needed to report him. He didn't do anything, then he just sped off. But literally he had no reason to be in that parking lot at 5:45 in the morning by himself. He didn't even get gas. He just pulls up, honks, drives away, and I was like, well, that was very creepy. And also he would stand by the pumps, gas pump, and we started to tell, we were next to an auto shop too, we told those guys about the situation and that we weren't comfortable with him being there. Oh my gosh. And okay, there's so many weird things. So he knew he couldn't come talk to me because I told him to leave us alone, all of us. I didn't say just me, I said all of us. But he started telling the auto shop guys next door, who were like our friends because we worked next to them for like 3 years, he started telling them to tell me hi, and they didn't know that it was this big of a deal yet. And so they were like, hey, this guy named Alan, that's not really his name, but they were like, he said to tell you hi. And I was like, wow. And I was like, see, the thing with that is that's not a joke. And they were like, what? Like, they didn't know anything about it. And I'm like, we're actually like concerned about him and don't want him around here and blah, 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 blah. Filled them in on the situation and they were like, okay, we got you. So they started kind of protecting us, which was super nice. My mom was really thankful for that. Anytime he was around, those guys would come stand next to the stand and be like, are you okay? Are you good? Like, we'll make sure he leaves, he doesn't come here, da, da, da. And a couple times they actually, this one guy's kind of like scrappy, it's not the right word, feisty? I don't know. He's like a little feisty guy, and he went up and approached him one time and was like, dude, she doesn't want you here, dude. There's obviously a lot of colorful language being thrown at each other. Alan told him, he was like,
dude, she's a effing bee.
Which, ironic, because you're bringing me earrings and necklaces and gifts all the time. He would drop off jewelry for me at the stand when I wasn't there and tell my coworkers to give it to me. So they would just like get rid of it, and I never actually took any of the stuff he gave to me. That guy, when he approached him, he was like, just leave her alone, like we don't want to see you here anymore, da 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 da, all this stuff. Alan's like,
she's an effing bee, I don't even like her.
And he came and told me that, and I was like, he doesn't even like me, huh? Even though he brings gifts to me every day and comes and stares at me while I'm working from his car and thinks that no one sees him. And like a couple times we called the police, so we started to involve the police. The police station was like down the road from my work, which was really convenient, but like also not really, because we called them a couple times and they're like, yeah, we'll send someone. But we had to re-explain the story every time, and every time we would like, it would take like 10 minutes for us to explain the situation because it was a new person that would answer the phone every time. We're like, how do you not have this on record? I don't understand. It would take them like 15 minutes to get to our location, and by the time they got there, he was gone every time. So that was really frustrating. They never actually got to talk to him, and there was a point where like it started to get really creepy and I was really uncomfortable with it. I was like, I'm gonna find another job. Like, I was kind of ready to work another place anyway because I'd been there for so long, but it made me so uncomfortable being there, and like customers started to find out about it, and like that became all anyone asked me about, which was really frustrating because like I would just not want to talk about it for a minute, you know, but like all the customers would be like, oh my gosh, I heard you had a stalker, like is he still around? And I'm like, yeah, actually he's sitting right there. I was just tired of talking about it, and I didn't want it to be such a thing in my life. We had reported it, you know, a few times, and one cop actually told us that he had an experience with that guy, and he had a record. That guy had a record at a couple other coffee stands in the city for harassing other girls. So he's never actually like done anything, but he'll just like go and ask out these girls multiple times until they like eventually tell the police about it because he won't leave them alone. He just gets like obsessed. I don't think he would ever harm anyone, but he's just like obsessed, and he would not leave you alone. He would just watch you, and it's like the creepiest feeling. And I started to like feel like I had to watch my back when I was driving and stuff like that, which was just a feeling you never want to experience. And I was really unsettled, like sleeping at night and all this stuff. Even though I'd never had seen him outside of my workplace, I was just uncomfortable. Like I felt like he was like following me, even though he wasn't. But like no one should have to deal with that. Like, can't you just freaking be normal? Why do people have to be so freaking weird? I don't understand why you gotta be obsessed with someone that's not even interested in you. Like, you honestly probably could be dating someone if you just acted normal and asked him out like a normal person. When we started to get the police involved, I had called, and I hadn't been the one to talk to them the other times. It was my coworkers that had called, and I was the one that had most of the evidence. And so I had a picture of him. I don't know if that's illegal. I don't think it is, because he was actually harassing me. So I took a picture of him, and I had his license plate, and I had his name, and I had his phone number because he gave it to me. That was dumb. So I gave all of that information to the police, and I emailed it to this guy, and I was like on the phone with them, and we explained it, and I told them, okay, we've been dealing with this for like 6 months, 3 to 6 months, somewhere in there, like calling the police and nothing ever happening. We just wanted like a no trespassing order for him not to be able to come like on that property anymore, because he would just like watch us, and that's what was creepy. And I told the police like something needs to happen. We've been trying to make something happen for months and no one's doing anything. And I gave them all of the stories that I had, and this is when I started to get nervous, because I told them and 2 cops there. The one guy said to me, he was like, okay, that's actually really concerning. He seems unstable and I want you to be safe, and like just make sure he's not following you when you leave at night, and like make sure, look in your rearview mirror, make sure he's not behind you and all this stuff. And he was like, sometime, because I asked him about protection orders, like if I needed to file one, but I know that that's kind of a big deal and it costs money, you have to go to court, all this stuff, but I just didn't know what to do because I've never dealt with this before. And the cop was like, yeah, you need to go file one like tomorrow, you need to go do it ASAP. And because the cop was telling me that, I was like, oh my goodness, like it seems like such a freaking big deal, and it made me even more nervous. I wasn't as anxious about it before until he said that, and he was like, have you taken self-defense classes, all this stuff, and I was like, oh my goodness, he was just making me so nervous. And I'm like, you really didn't like help the situation, but he made it sound a lot more serious. So, but he did say sometimes if you file a protection order against someone, it actually aggravates them more and it can make the situation worse. So I didn't know if I wanted to do that. And like he told me to do it, but I went home and talked to my parents about it, and I was like, you know, I've never seen him out of work. I ended up getting a new job in the middle of all of this. I didn't post it anywhere. I didn't want anyone to know where it was because I just didn't want him to find out where it was. I don't really mind about anyone else. So far I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him once since I left and got a new job. I talked to my parents about it and I said I don't really feel like I need to get a protection order because I don't really want to make the situation worse, and I've never seen him outside of work. So I think if I find a new job, that should fix the problem. And it actually has so far. And I've gone back to my old job and talked to my coworkers, and they said they haven't seen him since I left. So that's also even creepier. Oh my gosh, I just remembered. Okay, another weird thing, that one guy that went and told him off from the auto shop, later that day, Alan went back to the auto shop to pay off that guy. He brought him $100 and was asking for him and was like, I want to give this to so-and-so, the guy that had told him off. And I was like, but he didn't take it because he wasn't there. I don't think he would have taken it anyway, but I was like, okay, what? You tried to pay him off because he threatened you? Like, I don't know if it's just because he was like, dude, don't be mad at me, or if he was trying to pay him to let him talk to me. I don't know, that just like really creeped me out, and I was like, I don't like that. So things just kept happening and it just made it weirder and weirder, and I was like, I'm just really not comfortable. So since getting the new job, it's been a lot better. I haven't seen him. I decided not to do a protection order, and I think it'll be okay. I don't think he's aggressive. I think he's just, I think this is just what he does. Like, I think he just like travels to different stands and harasses different girls. So if you're a girl, coffee stand, like don't be afraid to be bold and say no to people, and honestly like get some self-defense either classes or like pepper spray or taser. I don't know, like it's kind of sad that we've hit this time in our world where it's, you have to like try to be safe wherever you are, but we have, that's the reality of it. And so I used to never have anything until this situation, because it kind of just like shed some reality on like what the world is like and what people are like, and I was like, okay, yeah, I probably should have something to protect myself in case something happens. And I'm just really blessed and lucky that nothing happened and it didn't escalate, and that nothing has happened since. So I'm glad I got a new job. So it's been a lot better. There's that story of that. It was like a very stressful time, but we made it through. We're alive, we're good. I don't know where he's at in life, but I have nothing against him personally. I don't think he'll ever see this. It was just odd. It's just odd. Don't make people uncomfortable at their work. Like, they have nowhere to go. We have to talk to you, you know? Thank you for watching. I hope that you have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed this story. Like and subscribe down below if you haven't done that already, and I will see you in the next video, okay? Okay, bye!